I stayed to the party a little bit last night, and I knew that if I were going to get here in time to speak to you this morning, I'd better go home early. So I'm glad to see that so many of us followed me home early enough to come out here this morning. If you didn't go home early, you are not going to be awake through my speech. Thank you so much for what you do for this great party. Now, you know, there is a lot being said all around the world as to the efficacy of this great experiment that we have in this country that we call a democracy. It is under threat all around the world, not just here in these United States of America, but there are people who are debating whether or not a democracy can be effective or whether or not we ought to shortchange our pursuit of a more perfect union and veer off into an autocracy. Now, let me tell you a little something about that. I grew up over in Sumter. I finished high school over in Camden. I finished college down in Orangeburg. I started my professional career teaching high school down in Charleston. And on my way from Sumter down to Charleston, I stopped off in Moncks Corner and picked up a wife. My late wife was from grew up on a little 22-acre farm outside of Moncks Corner in an area called Whitesville. When she left home to come to South Carolina to, quite frankly, when she graduated from Berkeley Training High School, she stayed out and worked for a year because her sister Maddie had already graduated and was at South Carolina State. But her family could not afford to have two children in college at the same time. So while her sister finished her senior year, Emily went up to New York and worked for a year, waiting on Maddie to graduate. And when she came to South Carolina State a year after graduating, she came to school in a pickup truck with her foot locked on the bed of that truck. They didn't have a car, could not afford one. I don't know what was expected of her when she got to South Carolina State, but I know what she did. She came to that school, and while there, she saw a little wayward boy from Sumter wandering around the campus aimlessly, not being focused. She saw something in him, and she latched on to him and turned him into a United States Congressman. Then I knew what she did. She was very strategic. In fact, we met in jail. Now, I have to clean that story up. While demonstrating, trying to bring this country along in its development. You're going to get why I'm telling you the story in just a minute. When we got locked up, March 15, 1960, as we sat in that jail, not knowing what to expect, wondering whether or not we were doing the right thing. Some of the students, after the jails were full and the Pink Castle was overflowing, and that little fenced-in area out there, over 300 of us locked up. When the jails got full, some of went back to the campus, and they found a creative way to get into the cafeteria to bring us some food. I'm not going to say they broke in the cafeteria. They found a creative way to get into the cafeteria. And they brought us food. And late that afternoon, around 5 o'clock, they came down to the county jail. And there was this little 92-pounder walking toward me. She had a hamburger in her hand. I reached for it. She pulled it back and broke it in half. She gave me half and she ate the other half. I was so grateful for that half hamburger, I married her 18 months later. Sometimes jail may not work. It worked for us. 58 years, we stayed married. I thought that was a chance meeting. I went through 10 years of marriage thinking that was just an accidental meeting. And on our 10th wedding anniversary, we called our friends down to Charleston to help us celebrate 10 years. Because we'd always been told that if you get beyond the 7th year, you might be able to make it. So we would celebrate 10 years. So our friends came down, some of those jailbirds from back in March 1960. And as we went out for dinner, came back to our house and we were sitting around talking. And I was sitting there, all the ladies had gone around the dining room table, the rest of the guys were there in the rec room. And so I had been out and eaten a lot and drank a little bit. So I started talking, boasting as to how successful we had been in the spouses that we had chosen. And I'm just waxing eloquent. And I did not know it. But Emily was standing in the door. And all of a sudden, it got quiet. I looked. And Emily looked at me and she says, "That's what you think." I said, "What do you mean, what I think? That's the way we met. You bringing me that half hamburger in jail." And then she told me the rest of the story. She told me that one day she and her roommate were standing in the window of Miller Hall in South Carolina State and saw me walking across the campus just beyond the tennis courts with the young lady that I was holding hands with at the time. And she told her roommate, "They do not make a good couple." He is going to be my husband. And she laid out her plan. Now, a lot of people think that's a joke. I found out that day that she had been stalking me. But she taught me a lot. I learned a lot from my parents. Growing up in that little posture. Talking with my dad about what I wanted to be when I grew up. Believing I was going to follow him into the ministry. And he said to me time and time again, he was training me to be a leader in the church. But when I got down to South Carolina State, I always heard you had to be called to the ministry. And I kept listening for the call. I never heard the call. So I went home to tell my dad that I had changed my mind. That I was not going to go to the seminary as we had talked about. He said to me on that occasion, "Well, son," he said, "I suspect the world would much rather see a sermon the dear one. I believe that. And that lays the foundation for what we Democrats have been. I know what you're hearing today. People telling you about the Democratic Party. Democratic Party was a party that was sitting there that Abraham Lincoln had to form a new party in order to get rid of it. But let me tell you a little bit of real history. Back in the 1830s, a man came to this country from France. A man named Alexis de Tocqueville. De Tocqueville came to this country and he studied our penal system. But while here, de Tocqueville said that he saw a certain magic about this country. And he wanted to find out what that magic was. He went all over the country, going into legislative halls, at cities and counties, going on to campuses of our colleges and universities. And then he said it was not until he went into our places of worship that he found out the real magic of this country. Our churches, our synagogues, our mosques, and our temples. He said it was when he went into these places and when he found out what this country is all about and came to the conclusion that this country is great because its people are good. And if the people of America ever cease to be good, America will cease to be great. That is what is going on today. We are in a, your Bible say we are in a fight for the soul of America. I will say we are in a fight for the goodness of this great country. We must not lose that fight. That's what this party has been about. Yes, de Tocqueville also said, America's greatness is not that it is more enlightened than any other nation, but rather because it has always been able to repair its faults. This country is not perfect. COVID-19 opened up a lot of fault lines in this country. But we, as Democrats, are dedicated to repairing those faults just as we've always done. And so this came back to World War II. After winning that battle, and things were not going right for those soldiers of color coming home, because of an incident, Democrat Harry Truman, an incident that took place right here in South Carolina. Harry Truman said that was not right. That was a fault that needed to be repaired. And by executive order, he integrated the armed services. A Democrat did that. The Republicans stood on the sideline. And y'all remember, some of y'all old enough. Strom Thurmond didn't like that. So he left the Democratic Party. He left the Democratic Party because the Democratic Party took on the words of Alexis de Tocqueville and decided we are going to repair those faults that exist. This party did that. In 1954, the Supreme Court said we're going to repair the fault of segregation. And the United States Supreme Court, because of something that happened right here in South Carolina, Clarendon County, Braintree area, Brown v. Board of Education started right here in South Carolina. They integrated the armed services. It was a Democrat, Lyndon Johnson, who in 1964 signed the Civil Rights Act. In 1964 signed the Voting Rights Act. In 1968 signed the fair housing law. Democrats did that. But we are proud of our party. Don't let that aside shame you into thinking anything different. We have saved this country. We have saved democracy, and we ain't gonna stop now. Now, you know, a lot of people talk the talk. But you all learned as I did. It's right there in the good book. We know them not by their words, but by their deeds. And you and I did not just talk about saving the democracy, we have saved this democracy time and time again, and we are planning for the future. So our young people, our children, our grandchildren can live in the same kind of world that we live in, just in a much better world than we found. That's why these young people you see, one or two of them ain't all that young. They call themselves Vibrant Fellows. Several years ago, when Jimmy Harrison was chair of our party, Jamie came to me one day and says, we got to do a better job of training people for the future of this party. He said, I want to start something for a fellowship so that young people and people not so young can come into this process, learn our state, develop a love and passion for politics. And I want to bring them in 40 or 50 at the time and let them work this party over a period of 12 months. I said, Jamie, that's a great idea. Let me know what I can do to help. He came back a couple of weeks later. He said, I'm going to start this fellowship. I just want you to know, we're going to call them Clyburn Fellowship. I said, thank you very much, baby. That's such a great moment. Hold just a moment. I need you to help me get it started. I said, well, I'll be there for you. I need a $50,000 check. Kind of roped me in. But if my wife could get me for a half hamburger, she ought to be able to get me for $50,000. I wrote the check. And because of COVID-19, the last 3 classes, you always have a penance ceremony. We did not have a penance ceremony for the last 3 classes. They all have invited here today. So I'm going to call them all out now. I want them to line up here. Give them their pens, because they're going to pin each other. I'll be here all day. Y'all come on up.
Congressman?
Yes, sir.
We had too many for the stage, so we're going to do each class individually, okay?
Each class.
So this is 2019.
Class of 2019.
And
I'm particularly proud of this class because that little hamburger, they got me attached, produced 3 wonderful daughters. One of whom was in the class of 2019. One of whom is around here somewhere, Mignon. First one, Mignon, over there. She doesn't like to be seen with her daddy too much. And the third one, Jennifer. Angela. Y'all know Angela. Angela. Big on Jennifer Angela. Jennifer's in this class, and they're going to pin each other.
We're pinned and you're going to take pictures.
All right.
So the class of 2019 of the Clyburn Fellowship, the class president is Jennifer Clyburn Reed. Rosalind Glenn. Kimberly Davis. Richard Dorman. Kevin Eckert. Delane Frierson. Phyllis Harris Drakeford. Joshua Hughes. Kathleen Hughes. Timothy Lewis. Trina Mackey. Donovan Lamoy. Amanda McDougall Scott. Shaquise Newton. Shakora Bamberg. Miko Pickett. Justin Smith. Tim Street. Shelly Williams. Tanya Winbush. Trayvon Johnson. Aubrey Whiteman. Class of 2020. Move it.
Somebody with a walking stick to move it.
While they're coming on stage, I want the congressman to know when I became chair, I thought that this was a little self-serving group of individuals that Jamie put together. But the truth is you saw just in that 2019 class, you saw people who were county party chairs now. You've got people who've been elected to South Carolina State's board, other school boards who've run for office. So this really has, Congressman, become a training ground for county party officers, for candidates and individuals who want to run campaign. And we appreciate you, Dalian, and I hope that one day we will be able to house this in what we call the Clyburn Center at our campus. And hopefully one day we'll be able to do that.
2020 class, Annette Bethel. Nathan Campbell. Caitlin Coatsum. Quinn Curtin. Katie Davenport. Terry Davis. Tiffany Gamble. Anthony Holman. Tawanya Herbert. And Daisy Patman. Tamisha Grant. Alicia Matthews. She is the class president. Hold on 1 second. Ashley Westby. Dr. Zakivia Lewis Kendrick. I hit the wrong place. Sorry. Class of 2021, move it.
That's what happens.
2021. The 2020, 2021, and 22 class just had 20 members, so they're smaller classes than that 19 class.
I got chastised for wanting a big class, and Jay put me in my place, as he often does. As did Anthony.
Class of 2021, just trying to, Marianne Blake. Dewan Council. Tracy Ellerby, and Tracy is the class president. Davida Burshid. Go ahead. Dr. Jaquinda Jackson. Claiborne Linville. Emily Mayer. Wilma Pimpleton. Kristen Pruitt. Chris Sally. Robbie Short. Ryan Thompson. Erica Sampson. Tyria Glover. Bria Major. 2022. This class just finished last week. 2022.
One of the things is you can't see on this pen is Congressman Clyburn's favorite animal. And that is the tortoise. The tortoise, the turtle. And it is turtle. Thank you. And the fact is because it represents perseverance.
And stand focused.
And that's what we have to do.
Remember the story that taught us in the head? My favorite story. Persevere. Stay focused. It ain't the fastest. He who endureth to the end.
Sort of like this spinning ceremony. The class of 2022, the class of president is Ernito Brown. Yolanda Bird. Katie Crosby. Jackie Holmes, Newberry. Ebony Hughes. Jaleel Johnson. John McCord. Chris McCurry. Jaheim McLaurin. Alicia Sullivan. Macaulay Morrison. And last but not least, Joshua Stevens. This concludes, Congressman, the pinning ceremony.
That's great. Let me just close my comments here today and whatever I have to do to say thanks to all of you. I have very much enjoyed the last 29 plus years that I've been able to serve here in the Congress. And I do believe very sincerely in this great state of ours. I don't know how many of you know this. I heard last night the often quoted motto of our state that's on the seal. While I breathe, I hope. A few people know that South Carolina has two mottos. There's a second motto for this state, and it says, prepared in mind and resources. Prepared in mind and resources. That's our second motto. This party must do what it can. Fulfill not just the first one, which is about hope, but the second is about preparing our minds and developing our resources for the future. That is what this is all about. These young and not so young people who are being prepared in mind, and this party is going to develop the resources for them to leave a better state than any of us found it. Thank you, and Godspeed.
Thank you, Congressman. We will now, thank you very much, and thank you all for allowing us to do that pinning here and being patient with us very much. Thank you. We will now go directly into the Treasurer's report, and so I will turn over the mic, to Kendra Dove, who amazingly is going to become the Treasurer of Richland County. She won without a primary. Madam Treasurer, she's also our Treasurer.
Thank you, Fred. Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's talk about some money. We're going to put our Treasurer's report on the screen for you. Matt is queuing that up for us.